Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if we're live, guys, because I'm going to check it out right now. So we are live. Marco GT5 tells it how it is, and we are indeed live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Fix. 201 episodes of this absolute disaster of a show. Sunday nights is the time. And as Jake Ward will tell you, his is the finest show. We are a train wreck, which is incidentally what all you guys might just see if you are tuning in to King of the Table 13, because the train may come off the tracks. About that. Hey, Phil Woody, how you doing, mate? See who else we've got in there. All the Arm Historian is in there. Love him. Love the Arm. I was listening to the Arm Historian tonight, ladies and gents. Let me tell you something now. The Arm Historian is the balls. And if you are not subscribed to the Arm Historian, what the f is your problem? Get over there. Get subbed. Arm Historian is one of the good guys. This dude is working hard. He absolutely, honestly, some of the stuff, if you go over to this guy's channel and check out what he does, the Arm Historian does beautifully animated, stunningly researched pieces. They're very balanced. Great dude. Absolutely fantastic. So get yourself over right now. Come back here when you've done it. Sub to the Arm Historian, ladies and gents. Don't worry, you're not going to be missing out tonight. I wasn't going to do the fix tonight, guys, actually, because we leave tomorrow. Myself and the mighty Sir Edward Hall will be leaving tomorrow to go over to Atlantic City. Who's that messaging me? I may have some guests joining tonight, but I'm not sure. If the guys that say they might come on, you're going to love it. They are big guests. But I did write back, I'll be honest, and say, don't worry about it too much because I ain't going to be on here too long myself because we've got a lot of stuff going down. But I wanted to drop on, give it a little fix, get in the mix with the fix. And I might actually, just a bit of a collapse going on the side of me here. I might actually do a little piece afterwards that isn't live. You know, everybody knows I don't do live. So I might even do a piece afterwards, which isn't live, just where I give some pretty balanced perspectives on how I see the match that I am so heavily invested in. With look at Brad Grundy's just popped up. Brad Grundy. Hey, Brad Grundy, you mother fluffer. Brad, I might even drop you a link, mate, if you want to drop in on you for 5 minutes. Because you need to tell me what Henry was. I went on there earlier on. Brad Grundy was on Henry Nering's show. If you haven't seen it, check that out also. Brad Grundy, tremendous dude. One of the, in my opinion, one of the most talented North American arm wrestlers. Can't make his mind up for shit about whether he should arm wrestle or not. So I'll hold that against him. But that aside, when it actually comes down to just, is the guy good? Can the guy do it? Hell yes. Brad Grundy can do it. Let me tell you right now. And I'm going to ping him the link. If he's available and he wants to drop on at any time, he's more than welcome to do so. What I'll do, Brad, is just I'll send it over to you, mate. But Henry was apparently giving me some shit. I didn't actually see it. But don't worry, anybody who's against that kind of thing, because I want to see Henry, may drown him. Particularly if it's over at East versus West, because we're near the sea. And he's not that big a lad. So I think the water's deeper than he is tall. Could be a problem for Henry. No, joking aside. Hope you're well, Henry. Obviously, you're a massive wanker. If you were giving me some abuse, I'll check it out later, and I will kick you in the tip of the penis if it was anything bad. Let's get this sent over to Brad. So, guys, as I say, I wasn't going to do the fix, but I wanted to come on here and just have a chat with you all, answer any questions I've been getting. Firstly, I've been getting an enormous amount of questions from a lot of people, which I haven't answered. I haven't been able to answer. And I wanted to apologize for that. It's not that I don't want to answer, guys. And I do want to give people information. A lot of that's been about Eddie Hall. A lot of it has been about what my opinions are with Lavon and Jerry, and some of the other matches over at the King of the Table 13, which for anybody who is out of the loop, takes place next Saturday over in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And it's quite a card. It is quite a card. Ryan Ballinger is in the chat as well. Love him. What a strong bastard that is. Ryan, you may have seen pulling on North American Vengeance card, his first ever out in an East versus West, and he looked rock strong. Fire Drake 009, Eddie looking sharp, Neil. Mate, Eddie's done amazingly well. Amazingly well. I believe actually from James Statham that he has put up the match tonight, and I saw some notifications coming through, which without actually watching it, I answered them anyway, because you've got to be informed. But I think he put a piece out tonight on our stuff. So I'm sure that's gone out. Get over to Eddie's channel and check that out later. Ryan, thank you, mate. Hope you're good. And I want to just spend some time answering questions and so on with you guys tonight. I won't be on here long tonight, guys, because I've got a ton of stuff to do before we go to North America. As I say, if one of the guests drops in, we might stay on a little longer. We'll see what happens. So let's have a look. Historian Neil, someone in my chat asked me if you thought you could beat Brian Shaw. What do you think? Dude, I would smack the piss out of Brian Shaw without any problem whatsoever. I haven't a clue, is the honest answer. I don't know what Brian Shaw's bringing in. Obviously, I don't compete in arm wrestling anymore. Don't train for arm wrestling anymore. But my base was very, very high, and I can really arm wrestle. So you got a guy in Brian who's coming in. He's brand spanking new, but he's huge and he's extremely strong. I have arm wrestled with Brian before, but it was a few years ago. At that time, I could have taken Brian apart very, very easily. I don't know now. I assume I'd have a really good chance, yeah. But it will probably be a very short window of opportunity. And from what I hear, Brian is only going to get better really, really quick. He's very, very committed, and that's the only block. If the guy stays committed and he wants to do it, then his ceiling, I'm sure, is high. It's interesting because, forgive me for being this guy, right, ladies and gents, but for me, there is a lot of vacuous opinions in the sport of arm wrestling right now, which is kind of a good thing, and here's why. Because we have had this huge influx of people coming into the sport, new guys coming into the sport who are passionate about it, who are hardcore arm wrestling fans. That is truly wonderful. But one of the downsides of that is initially that they run out and they'll just listen to opinions, and usually those opinions will come from their favorite arm wrestlers, whoever that may be. And sometimes, if that arm wrestler is selling a matchup, talking about a particular match for a particular reason, the opinion that you're getting is not necessarily their true opinion. And also, everybody's got their own bias and slant on things. Everybody will make a comment for a certain reason. You got to try and look at things in a little bit more of a balanced fashion. One of the benefits that I've got in the sport is, honestly, I don't really get emotionally attached to matches in the same way that I think a lot of people do. And I think the reason for that is because, to me, it's just an arm wrestling match. As I've got older and some of the things that have happened in my life recently with family health and things like that, it certainly gives you a renewed perspective on things. Let's just say that. It really does. For better or worse, it certainly does that. And arm wrestling is a sport. Arm wrestling is important, but it ain't life and death. And so, whilst sometimes people get pissed off at you because you'll make a statement and it may upset them, and it is hard, if you know the guys very well. But I try to be as joking aside. I mean, obviously, when you're taking the piss, you're taking the piss. When you're having a laugh, you're having a laugh, and you've got to do that. Keeps you young. I love having it. I love having a laugh and having some fun. But when it all boils down, it's nice to be able to look at things in a balanced way and try and weigh things up and view things as best you can. I think it's very interesting that a lot of guys that are coming into the sport will listen to one voice, two voices, and they make a decision based upon that. And sometimes the outcomes are very different. I'm in an interesting position because sometimes I make bets with people, and let's just say I'm up a lot. So we'll see what happens. So let's have a look. Let's answer some of the questions in here. Neil is cooked. Oh, Neil cooked Eddie, bro. Sorry, mate. John Cal. What about that? Hey, fucking hell. Listen, Eddie's just getting started. We're just starting. We're just starting the Eddie Hall show. How well has that lad done? I mean, you guys that have been following it, if you're an Arm Wars channel member and you've followed it in there in detail, because on the Arm Wars channel, the guys are getting a lot of insight into what, and there's another 7 is coming out very, very shortly as well. That'll be out either today or tomorrow, and even more in depth. We aren't showing everything. Obviously, we're not going to show everything in there because right now that will be a bad idea. So we're being selective on what's on there. Also, one thing I will tell you is we've been showing things out of sequence. So we've been showing things which may have been shot 3 weeks ago, and we're just showing it now. So people think, oh, that's where he's at. And he's actually significantly further. And what's very interesting to me is reading the comments of people saying, wow, he looks great. Eddie looks incredible. And myself, James, Rob, we're thinking, he's better than that now. He's really significantly better than that. So we've been showing things out of sequence a little bit. The match with myself and Eddie, the practice match, that was shot on Friday. So that's when, if you're looking for the timeline, that's when that was shot. Excuse me, Thursday. It was shot on Thursday. Thursday evening at Eddie's place. Now, if you're looking for a timeline, that's the most recent. Eddie has worked with myself, Rob Frampton, James Dempsey, the mighty Claymore, James Stewart, for anybody who doesn't know, James Stewart is a guy from Scotland, and he is a huge individual. James is one of the biggest lads in the UK circuit, and a guy with huge potential. James is a very humble, lovely, gentle giant, and has colossal potential for this sport. The guy's grip strength is off the charts. He's a huge lad, and he's young in the game, got enormous potential. So he was kind enough to give up his time, come across from Scotland and help us work a little bit with Eddie as well. And that was very interesting, gave us some really valuable insights. And oh, he's in the chat. The Claymore is in the chat. He's just popped up. Yeah. James, how you doing, brother? Hope you're well. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Yeah. James Stewart, the Claymore, helped us work with Ed as well. So we've had a pretty solid camp, whilst it has been a very, very quick camp. We had 6 weeks, basically. So that is nowhere near enough time to do what we want to do with Eddie. But for everybody's information, just so you know, the manner in which I approached this thing really wasn't specifically looking at just the match with Brian Shaw. I trained, well, I just trained my mate to arm wrestle. Basically, that's what we did, and we've given him some weapons in his arsenal to put together an option of beating Brian. We've got a lot of advantages with Eddie in that he's an absolute champion, natural champion. He's a special individual. He's a very quick learner. I think we got Mr. Brad Grundy going to join us. He's a very, very. He moves well. He adapts well. He's extremely easy to coach. So there's a lot of benefits. The other benefit I have there is that Eddie is my close personal friend outside of arm wrestling and outside of strongman. So that helps a lot as well because I know the guy well and he has an appreciation for the sport of arm wrestling. All of this helps. So these are good things. The downsides for us was that Eddie is training for a fight right now as well. He's looking for an MMA fight against Mariusz Pudzianowski, the Dominator, who was the 5-time world's strongest man. And that is challenging because you've got a situation there where when he comes to training, the guy's usually done 4 or 5 hours fight training and literally being kicked from pillar to post. All right, Brad Grundy.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm all right, brother. How are you?
Great, man. Just
I
finishing up
caught a little bit of
exams.
the show earlier with Henry, but it was literally I was in the car and it was like 5 minutes, and then I was going in somewhere, so I couldn't listen for long at all. But
Okay. We were
yeah,
a little hard on Eddie, I would say.
okay, that's fair enough. Give me a bit of backstory here, brother.
So I
Let me
think
know.
Eddie has a fair chance. I think Eddie's improved a bunch, but I think Henry thinks Eddie is like the 1 to 20 favor odds to beat Brian.
20. I think you'll find it's 25,000 to one,
Yeah.
Brad. Hmm. Yeah, because when we had Devon on here, who, as
Mhm.
everybody knows everything about this.
Yes.
You watch the chat, everybody, you'll see one in 25,000. That's what it was. 1 to 25,000 were the odds. 25,000 to one. I put £1 on Eddie Hall. Just saying.
Hey, if you guys want to bet, if you want to bet someone,
Well, you
reach
know the
out to
fucking odds,
Henry.
mate. That's it. Listen, I've got another quid right here. If you want to come in at those odds, I'm fucking in. Nope, kind of guy I am. Another 25,000 to one bet, mate. I will make it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
you should reach out to Henry, Neil.
Listen, if Henry wants in on that, Henry. Yep, I'm going to extend that same offer to you, son. 25,000 to one. I could be up 50 grand if Eddie pulls one out of his ass here. This would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good win, isn't it?
Hey, how is Eddie doing though? Is his top role, is that his main thing?
What is his top role? Is in no,
Okay.
no, no. Would be a little foolish, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a giant. Let's put it this way. Let's get real in this mother for a minute. Eddie Hall, heavy man, 166 kilos, with
Mhm.
abs, good condition.
Yeah.
Lost 5 or 6 stone from his peak. Brian Shaw, don't know exactly what his weight is, but I'm assuming upwards of 180, maybe even heavier. Don't know. Huge dude, 6'8", leverage for days. So everybody saying, "Oh, Eddie looks amazing. Eddie's moving well." I don't care whether you're on this side of the camp or this side of the camp. It really doesn't matter. The reality of the situation is Eddie needs to be moving better.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Because Brian Shaw can arm wrestle ugly and still be an enormous problem for people
Mhm.
because he is a giant. And you know what I'm talking about here. I know I'm preaching to the choir. But for people in the chat that aren't appreciative of that, that is what we're looking at here. We're looking at a situation where size does matter. I mean, I can shout my missus up now and she will tell you. I was saying,
I believe you. Yeah.
yeah. So the fact that Brian
Uh-huh.
is such a giant is going to
Yeah.
be a problem and it allows him to arm wrestle ugly.
Yep.
Eddie must be clinical, must be
Yes.
flawless. Now, when we are in training and in the training room in that training environment, Eddie has his moments where he is really on point. I mean, extraordinarily impressive, actually. He pulls things
Mhm.
off that are excellent. But this is a training room environment, and we're hitting maybe 100 ready goes in that time,
Yep.
and the percentage that he does that very well is very high, maybe 85%, maybe 90 on a good week when
Mhm.
his head's a little fresher. But that still leaves, if we take 90, 10% of the time in that environment when he doesn't do it well. We cannot afford a 10% failure rate on the night. You know what I mean? We
Yep.
simply cannot afford those odds. If he drops the ball, the massive pendulum of opportunity swings back in favor of Brian Shaw, who has all these leverage advantages. I'll be honest with you, Brian is not looking impressive on the arm wrestling table from a technical perspective. I'm actually sorry about that. If you want the truth, I'm genuinely sorry about that because I want to see the guy succeed. I want to see him do well. If I can help Brian, I will do. I want Eddie to beat him in this match. I want Eddie
Yeah.
to succeed in this match. But I don't want Brian to fail. I like Brian Shaw. He's a good dude. And I love having him in the sport of arm wrestling. It's fantastic for arm wrestling. I think people are setting him up to fail a little bit, Brad, if I'm honest. What do you think?
I actually had the exact same opinion as you. So I thought if it was both bad technique from both guys, I think Brian wins that, right?
Yes,
Bigger hand, bigger guy.
most likely.
I think if Eddie can play his cards perfectly, then he has a chance. So I'm
Have you
not,
pulled him at all, Brad? Have you come across him, seen him, pulled him?
no, never,
No.
never.
See, this is the thing. There's a gulf between last time I arm wrestled Brian. I don't know, and at that time he was obviously he didn't know what he was doing. So imagine you're a strongman competitor and you're going in there to pull the truck.
Hmm.
And you put the harness on and you've got your shoes on and everything's right. But when you set off, you don't stay low and you're upright a little bit, and all your
Yeah,
power goes into that harness and up, not into the truck. It's the nuance. Now, if you know, if Eddie was on here, if Brian's on here, if Terry Hollands, Lawrence Sharkley, Rob Frampton, any of these guys that's their game, they know the score, they know the nuance. This is what we're dealing with the other way around. If Eddie gets rabbit in the headlights on the night, forgets some of that stuff, he's going to have been in a whirlwind. People are going to be coming up. Eddie, can I get a picture? Eddie, can I do this? Eddie,
yeah,
all
yeah.
week. Your mind's all over the place. It's his first ever arm wrestling super match.
Uh-huh.
So,
Is there any chance you could get Eddie
oh,
to like hide out and not do all the social media stuff?
um, I'll be honest with you, mate.
Yeah.
Eddie feels like he has to do that to a degree. He feels very,
Hmm.
very. Eddie is a very sinister looking dude, isn't he? Looks hard edged, and he's a lovely bloke. He's a funny, fun guy. And he's very, very good with fans. Very good. To the point where it's kind of ridiculous. Do I want him to stay back a bit? Yeah, I do, mate. Honestly, I do. I would like to see him be away from people a little bit, try and create some distance, just close ourselves off,
Yeah.
um, be around the other arm wrestlers and just try to ingest a little bit of that, but not be out there publicly as much because give him a break. This is his first ever role. And the same with Brian. And
Hmm.
everything I say about Eddie is just the same with Brian.
Yep.
If I have a request, right? And look, secret, I'll tell a secret, all right? If I have the opportunity to wind Brian up, I will wind him up like a goddamn clock.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
believe you.
like a clock, like a clock. And we haven't even warmed up yet. I mean, when we actually get there, you in America, you have banter, don't you? You know what banter is? Basically,
Yeah, yeah,
where you
yeah.
effectively rip the fiber of piss from your mate's body. You know?
Yeah. That's what Eddie, thrives at.
Yes. And that is exactly what's coming. So we're going to go with that a little bit. I mean, we've already started a little bit. We've had a little bit of fun with this match, but we're very much. Anybody thinks that Eddie isn't taking it seriously. You read the comments of people saying, "Oh, Eddie isn't invested in this. Eddie isn't taking it seriously." Eddie is taking it really seriously. He doesn't do. He doesn't. He simply doesn't do not seriously.
Hmm.
He's in. Our plan is to say, "Hey, we ain't invested. Who gives a shit?" The man is coming to win. Whether he does win, that's a different thing. We don't know what we're walking into. I don't know how strong Brian is right now. There is a chance that, we get all the Brian Shaw that night and the dude is the embodiment of the man that he appears. The
Yeah.
perception is really he is a titan and you can't do a goddamn thing with him. I don't know. That's not what I think. That's not what I see. I see a guy that is huge, one of the strongest human beings of all time, without any question, a very gentle, very proud competitor who will give 110% of what he can do on that arm wrestling table, yet has very little experience and is likely to make mistakes. And if
Yeah.
he drops the ball on the night, what I would ask all of arm wrestling is don't jump on him. Don't do a classic, oh, we were saying Brian had beat Levan. You know,
Hmm.
just give him a chance, guys. Give the guy a chance. It's great to have Brian in the game. It's great to have Eddie in the game. If any of them come up short, remember they're just a man and this is their first outing. And when you get in there against someone and it's your first time, you can have some problems that night. And I'm sure one or both of them will have issues
Yeah.
and we'll see. My honest hope, mate, and I'm sure it echoes your own. I don't want to see either of them get hurt.
Yeah.
I would like to see them both enjoy the match. Actually, I'd rather lose a banger than win a boring match. If I'm honest, because my experience as an arm wrestler, if you are in a good match, you enjoy it more. It doesn't matter. I can go in and smack bang my style of arm wrestling, which I haven't actually ever shown Eddie because he's nowhere
It's
near
too
there yet.
much.
But if I was
Yeah.
teaching you or I was teaching a high level pro, you
Yeah.
know my style of arm wrestling, dark arts, is very much joint based. It's savage, it's fast, and it's brutal. I
Hmm.
would not teach Eddie that because it's brutal to both parties.
And he's too muscle. I think he has too much muscle to do it.
Yeah,
I've been
not
messing around with it, Neil. I like it a lot. I've been
it's
doing it.
mate. Is there any way you can get your passport? Because you got
No,
go for it. All right, try and get it. Because if you can,
mhm.
you, you are missing an unbelievable opportunity. Oh, I tell you.
I mean, they told me 7 to 9 weeks, not including shipping, unless I went to like a private office and paid like close to a grand.
Can you blow
Um,
anyone?
what's up?
Can you blow anyone? Favors.
Yeah, yeah,
No. Because just saying, James, I'll get James through it. He doesn't know.
yeah,
No, I mean, well, he don't need to. We can just say, James, guy wants to see you in that room
yeah.
over there. You just go in. James be like, what? No, you're right. Go in there, right? And then what happens? You know what I'm saying? Good at 'em. You end up with a passport, all good.
James is that guy.
Yeah, James has a nightmarish scenario that gives him a nervous twitch. It's okay. He'll get over it. He's had bad situations before. He can handle it. Okay, we got a
Okay.
question here.
Yeah.
John Wilkinson. How do you train with Eddie? Isn't your wrist proper knackered? My wrist is extraordinarily knackered, and that's why I've got a couple of stunt doubles. If you, for the guys who are watching the Arm Wars channel, you will see that I don't go on the table much with Eddie, apart from doing a couple of things, and that is the prime movement. So press, hooks, deep press move, not too bad because Eddie's impacting here, so he's not going to go at my wrist at all. Anything where we're showing him, I've shown him a full range of motion, hook, top roll, everything. We've been showing a lot of his top roll in progress because with the top roll and some of the hooking stuff we've shown and the transitional stuff, you get to see more of the guy's fluidity, more of the movement. So we've shown that to show that Eddie is progressing on the table very, very well. His level of table craft and comfort is through the roof. And in a minute, Brad, we're getting back to the Henry thing. So you can tell me that.
Yeah.
But that's why we've been showing that, guys. So John, that's the reason we've been showing it, buddy. Um, Eddie's got more than that. Eddie has realistically 4 lanes. And if he can hit any of those 4 lanes, Brian will need to be very strong. The issue is that in order to get there, because of the size and the scale of Brian, there is a period of time at the start of a match where it's going to be like Charge of the Light Brigade. You got to go through the thunder a little bit to get there.
Yeah.
And that's, as Brad was saying, well, you put it down, Brad, how you see it, mate, in that respect.
I think you're spot on. I think there's lanes where Eddie can sneak in there, and Brian's probably gonna have trouble finishing, right?
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would
So
think
if
so
Eddie can
because he's what?
find that lane where he can, and Eddie's biceps are already crazy. Like he could definitely find a lane where he stops him, and he probably is going to finish it better than Brian will.
I think Brian will be expecting that if he just stays high and pulse
Yeah.
like hell and top rolls, it's going to be an easy day.
Yeah.
I actually don't think it's going to be that easy at all. I think he'll be surprised. I'm going to get to the super chats in a minute, guys, so don't panic. But yeah, I think it. One thing Eddie does have, he's got natural genetic benefit. His pronation is extraordinary, actually. His pronator strength is way above where we envisaged it would be, naturally. A lot of, if you look at what he does and what he where his strengths were. A lot
Hmm.
of it has lent to what. Imagine you can manhandle an 80 kilo or a 100 kilo dumbbell.
Yeah.
He can.
Mhm.
In that environment, he's actually stronger statically than Brian is. If you look at their history, you look at the numbers, he's statically stronger than Brian. He's not as complete as Brian, and Brian isn't far back. A lot of Brian's strengths are going to be more conducive to arm wrestling. That's the reality of it. But within Eddie's game, there are certain things that are really, really good. Really good. And the pronator is one of them. His dynamism is another.
Yeah.
He moves very well. And I have tailored the training around Eddie's. When we first went down, we had a theory session the first week. Okay, so our first session, we didn't actually do anything on the table other than just look at Eddie. And that was to make notes on what he was doing well and what we were never going to get there. We got 6 weeks, you know. So we made notes on that, mate, and that's where we structured the training around in that respect. So um, I'm very happy with his progress. What do you think? As an exceptional arm wrestler looking in, what do you
Yes,
think of his movement after 6 weeks?
I think so. I've seen only the videos you guys have put out, so I'm not sure
Mhm.
how much his opponent's giving him and all of that. Um, I know in a real setup, when Brian's trying to take everything with his big ass hand, it's going to be a
Yeah,
little more difficult.
yeah,
Um, I would like to see him, regardless of what happens, pull with like someone like Lawrence.
yeah.
How do you think Eddie would do with Lawrence?
I think he could potentially beat Lawrence.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
He's right there with. I think Lawrence and him would be very interesting. I think he's doing very well in training, in a training environment. He's way above where we thought he would be. The
That's
last couple
awesome.
of weeks, he's done very, very well. This last couple of weeks.
Okay.
I'm not
I
saying
can
he
even
would
see
beat
Eddie.
Lawrence, but he could beat Lawrence. I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
pulled with Loz for a while, and Loz is going well. Loz is probably more complete on the table. I would hazard a guess. I think that Eddie's got a couple of movements which might give Loz problems. I think fastest finger on the trigger would probably be a big thing in a match between those two.
Hmm.
I think either one is strong enough to finish the other.
Okay. Do you see a lane for Eddie? So like I always thought Eddie could possibly almost like Todd Hutchings eventually, not now, but like wrist kind of kick back and pronate through the lat.
I 100% see a lane there. That is an absolute lane. Yes,
Okay. That's
yes.
what I see when I see Eddie long term. But
That is. I don't. I think long term he will be much neater than that, cleaner. I
okay.
think he's much more natural. He's much more naturally joined up than such as Todd. Just is.
Yes, but
Just
his hand and
naturally more
wrist,
dynamic arm wrestler.
yes, but his hand and wrist is always going to be small for a super heavyweight.
You'd be surprised, Brad.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
far, far bigger than you think.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you think? Do you think your hand is very small for a super?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that? Let's think who's similar size. Because I was going to say his hand is significantly bigger than yours.
I believe that.
Quite a lot bigger. Much thicker and quite a lot bigger.
Okay.
His hand is not small at all. It's not Brian, but it's not small. It's a
Okay.
pretty
Is
big
it
hand.
thick like Kyle Hutchinson or is it just longer?
Oh, way longer.
Okay.
Yeah, way bigger hand than Kyle. Yeah, significantly larger hand than Kyle. Where he has some real advantages is he moves very cleanly. Where he's got some is at the moment he's not comfortable with his size. He's not found his lane at the table yet in a very joined up manner. And what I mean by that is he still gets a little out of shape in the lower body when he could do a little better there. And then
Okay.
every now and again he'll hit it crisp. And when
Yeah.
he hits it crisp, he's really got something. Really got something. There's some spots when he gets in there and he's professional super heavyweight strong. Professional super heavyweight strong in certain lanes. The chance of him finding one of those lanes, honestly, I think is probably slim. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. I'm trying to give the guy a break. It's the first ever arm wrestling match that he's done. His head will be all over the show. He'll be trying to take in what the refs are saying. It's very
Yep.
different in reality to what you can replicate in a training environment, any training environment. I think him and Brian will have a real game plan going in there, and it'll probably go
Yeah.
flying out the window.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it
Hmm.
might end up quite an ugly match. I am concerned about the safety of both guys.
Yep.
I know we had the joke the other week when Dev was on here and Brian. And Brian was saying, "Are you being serious right now?" And the honest answer there is, in no way. But within that, there was a tone of serious in that some of the things I was saying, amidst
Hmm.
the colossal landslide of total bullshit, there was also the odd fragment of, yeah, but do watch out though.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
safety aspect was one of those for anybody.
Yeah, your first matches are always the most dangerous, and these guys are so big. It's scary
They're
for
so
sure.
big, so powerful, and so static. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's when you get a guy that's that strong. Okay, let me put it like this, and you tell me if you agree, right, Brian? Right, Brad. Brian's natural inclination. Let's look at his background. He is one of the strongest grip athletes on earth. That's Brian's thing. Fascinated by grip, extremely powerful grip.
Hmm.
His hand, I am sure, is acid. I think it'll be rock strong
Yep.
at the table, long term. But when you have that kind of hand strength and you have that kind of wrist strength, you have that kind of forearm strength, there will be a very loud voice in your head saying, "You're stronger than this guy. Just
Mash him.
just bury this guy. Just hang
Yep.
on to him and bury him." Now, yeah, particularly in a static environment.
Hmm.
Okay, so in any kind of slow start, static tractor diesel build-up environment, yeah.
Yep.
If somebody lights him up like Blackpool, just fucking blasts into him, and his reaction is a little low, and he picks it up lower than he thinks he's gonna. His
Yep.
brain's told him to switch on, but in actual fact, it's moved 4 inches, and he drives hard in the wrong direction. Blue flash and bang is all he's gonna feel, and he doesn't know that. That's the worry. He genuinely thinks like, "Shut the that can't happen." Yes, it can.
Hmm. No, I've seen it. I've seen it happen before from strong guys, especially. I think, dude, if he loses center, what I think Eddie should do is really give it up the first round, then wait till the second or maybe even third round to try to really fight those grinders out because the rest are going to be on his side if he loses the first one. Brian's going to be more relaxed. Like if he gets in a bad place the first one, Eddie should know to give it up, I think.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
with like when everybody's saying, "Oh, yeah, the press, dangerous move that,
Hmm.
dangerous move the press publicly." Eddie's like, "Oh yeah, 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 dangerous to press. We won't go into the press. We're not because that's been told behind closed doors." Dude, I'm getting ready to get kicked in the face by Mariusz Budjanowski. That, let's go. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
I said the other week, not long ago, dude threw on his leathers, did 200 plus miles an hour on a Hayabusa down a friggin' runway, and the rear wheel bearing was going. He got back on and
So
did it
that
again.
was
They're like,
real.
"Oh
Eddie Sprint.
yeah, yes,
Was it 12 seconds or something?
dude." Eddie is mildly nuts. I mean, the guy fought two dudes in a. He's up for it. Trust me.
That was
Eddie Eddie
incredible.
Eddie is a wild bastard. All right. If
Hmm.
you're on there thinking he isn't, I can assure you he is. Real life.
Yeah.
We were in London and some guys were trying to, like get heavy on Eddie. And Eddie turned around and was like, "Okay, let's go." And I'm not talking one guy, I'm talking multiple guys. He's that guy. He is not, he's all right with it. So, guy's wild. He doesn't mind, He got kicked in the face. He went training with Tom Aspinall,
Hmm.
heavyweight champion of the world,
Yeah, no,
UFC.
Tom.
Bad dude. Gets in with one of the heavyweights at the club there, gets kicked in the face. First ever training session, broke his nose. Nose out of shape. Guy comes over to him, puts it back in place. He carries on fighting. That's
No, he
Eddie.
looks dude, he looks awesome. And I watched the whole video of him doing the deadlift. Like the guy is clearly ready to go hard anytime. So,
That's the difference.
yeah.
Ready to go hard to past breaking point. Now that's where your concern comes
Hmm.
because you've got to try and manage that as well. Because in my mind, my mind is on long term. That's what I'm thinking.
Is Eddie in that same? Is he cool to do arm wrestling for a while? You think, or
So Eddie is in the mindset where he's actually enjoyed this a lot more than he thought he was gonna.
yeah,
He wants to come in January. He has to consider this fight. It's big money and it's what he wants to do, and that's it's a fight. So the timing of that is critical because he doesn't want to get hurt. He is very much of the opinion that if he can make this a match and does okay, yeah, he wants to get into it, go again. He definitely wants to arm wrestle again. This is not like a one and done. It's
okay,
let's build it up. That's the reality of it. I think he feels like arm wrestling doesn't want him involved as much because they feel like they're throwing the arms around the world with Brian a little bit, and he's like just this guy who's come in and he's doing it for money, and that ain't the case. The guy's worked
no.
fucking ass.
I've seen the opposite. I've looked online, and people are way more impressed with Eddie right now than they are Brian. At least
To
the
be
stuff
honest,
I've
mate,
seen.
I they should be because he's
Mhm.
moving better. Does that mean Eddie will win the match? I don't know. If you were saying which would you bet, I can't tell you. You know, what I will tell you is that I think that Brian right now is being bigged up at an alarming rate. So it's like, oh, Brian, he's the great white, he's the savior. He's going to come in. He's the biggest fish in the sea. He's the great white shark. He's going to come in, munch everybody. Maybe he is, but not yet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It will come, but not yet. And I think we need to just temper our aspirations for the lad and let him grow at a natural rate because everybody throwing this stuff Brian's way, and Brian's a multiple world strongest man. He'll internalize that and think that he's there. When he goes there and Devon's like, yeah, yeah, you can win to build his confidence, he's got to be careful that he has some temperance with that and thinks, yeah, because right now I'll say the opposite and say, no way, no way. Is he ready for? I mean, a moment ago we were talking about could I do anything with him, and we're not sure. Maybe I can. Dude, I retired in 2009. I'm 51 years old and I'm wrecked.
I think
So
you killed Brian, but
I think I'll beat Brian, yes. If
yeah.
I went for Brian. I don't want to walk past Brian. I've no interest to arm wrestle Brian, but I
Mhm.
think so. And I think what I'm getting at is we don't need to even talk about. I mean, would I do anything with Lavan or what? No,
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't get in with Mindaugas Terasatis, who's the lightweight world champion, and he would dust the living piss out of me because he's right now active as hell and the world champion. That's a
Mhm.
bad dude. Right now, I will give him the respect that he deserves. He's the champion of the world. He's a bad man. And I know what it feels like to be that guy. And when you're that guy, you're a bad motherfucker. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Normal guy who's not in shape. It's disrespectful for me to say that I could come in and do something with that man. He will beat the piss out of me.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think so too. I mean, Brian's on the journey to becoming an arm wrestler, but I think he's not like I think in a year from now he'll be a bad, bad guy.
Yes,
But he's still in the in-between thing right now.
I agree. Right now, he is, and let me make this clear, not his fault. No fault of Brian Shaw. Dude hasn't said a word. Of course he's confident and he's saying, yeah, I'm coming here to take it all. He is, and good on him. But right now, from a general public perspective, overrated, dude. Overrated.
Yeah.
Bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So get off, give him a break. Let's knock over a couple of super chats. So, Adam Sheriff, mate, thank you very much for your super chat. Greatly appreciated. Your arm wrestling match with Eddie was an absolute pleasure to watch. I hope so, mate. Well, I'll tell you, what a pleasure to do. My wrist was. I'll tell you something about that in a minute. You're my all-time favourite arm wrestler. Oh, mate, that's genuinely touching. Ah, cheers, pal. Thank you. That's genuinely touching. Thank you very much, mate. You said that you did a morning and night routine every single day. Could you share that with us? Yeah. Yes, I will. So, so let's have a think what I would use. So right now, if you look at the equipment, that you have available. It's way better than I ever had available. Okay. Now, my favorite stuff that have you ever heard of wrist ball? Anybody come across wrist ball? The we I reached out to him and said, look, I'd love to help you guys promote your stuff because of the fact that I got one of the handles and it's friggin' awesome. They've got a handle called the Wrist Max, and this thing is superb. Now, if you look at a Wrist Max handle or any of their equipment that they are utilizing for this kind of motion, so you've got a flat hand containment position, and I would call this thing brush your teeth training. This is what we had Eddie doing, right? So every single morning, why brush your teeth is because morning and night. Get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. Go to bed at night, you brush your teeth before you do. Every goddamn day. So your body becomes, it adjusts to it. It becomes like walking. Like it is what you do. And I would just take that wrist handle every single day and I would do repetition movements, not with massively heavy weight. I would increase the weight, but in a relatively light range for tendon strengthening and just boom, 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 boom. I would do it to music. And I'd do sets of like time, maybe 4 minutes at a time, and build that up. So I'm doing an enormous amount of work and repetitions in set motions in what they would call, well, Devon calls it the cup, cupping. I don't call it cupping really because that's not exactly what I'm doing. Flexion, wrist flexion of various angles and types is what I would utilize. And I would do that a lot. And I would do the same sort of thing with almost like a pronation movement with a martial arts belt or a towel. I used to use a towel a lot because I could grip it real tight and close, and it was very comfortable as well. Um, that is the brush your teeth training, guys. So in answer to that, Adam, that is what I was doing, and I would do that, and I'll actually do more on this. I'm probably going to do some stuff shortly on supernatural strength, where I'll let you into a secret. I've really fucking enjoyed this training with Eddie, and in 2025, I want to explore if there's a way that I can come back into arm wrestling and sort of reinvent my style a little bit.
That'd be
Position.
awesome. That'd be amazing, Neil.
I don't know whether it's possible, Brad. I don't know whether I can do it, but I'd like to try because it might be that I can't put up with pain. Because every time
Yeah.
I arm wrestle, I'm banging painkillers down at an unhealthy rate, and it's genuinely really a problem. You can't have your right hand and wrist not working. It's really bad. You can't
Mhm.
drive a car. You can't do day-to-day stuff, and I've no cartilage in my wrist, so the nerves become really inflamed, and the wrist swells up, and it's a problem.
Have you
But I
looked
want to see
into,
if there's a
have you
way that I
tried
can.
everything? Have you tried like
Yeah,
stem cells, Pitocin? Okay, all that stuff? Yeah.
I had some stem cells,
Okay.
not many. But, I'm not like Devon where I've had loads. I had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of shots. I haven't, but I can't afford to, go to USA and have multiple shots and stuff. I couldn't do it. And even
Mhm.
then, when I showed them the scans, they said, "Whoa, okay, yeah, it's a lot of damage. That's going to take a great deal of, that's a lot of time, a lot of damage." They didn't sort of leave me at the garden path and say, "Oh yeah, that'll be fixed straight away." That wasn't what they said. It was like you'd need a lot of work, a lot of time,
Yeah.
and it's difficult to do that. And the reality of the situation is that I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to be, I ain't smacking Zerakashvili anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those days are gone. It's a young man's game. I'm happy to watch guys like Bit Killy kick the shit out of everybody, and
Yeah.
I love watching that
That
guy.
guy's
And
insane.
he's awesome. Guys like yourself, Brad. I'm a huge Brad Grundy fan.
Thanks.
Huge. I like your everything about you, demeanor, the way you arm wrestle, the thought, everything uh, actually remind me a lot of myself in that respect. That your approach to it is similar, very similar. And I love that. I love that you're on your journey and you're finding your way through and you're excellent. And that's what I like watching young men in their prime chase down the wins, climb the ladder. And that, because as I say, I used to be that guy. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
under any illusions that I am that guy now, and nor that I am going to be that guy. But if people want to see me arm wrestle,
Mhm.
what I could hopefully do is try to put myself into challenging matches and difficult situations and just have some entertaining arm wrestling matches. Um,
Would
within
you
within
call it the guy,
environment.
the guy Robert Baxter went after? East versus West, the Turkish guy?
Yes, I
Like
do.
Enge would be happy to like have you have matches with like the older legends, I think.
Yeah, even
Like,
even Robert himself. I mean, if I could
yeah,
ever get
yeah.
strong enough, people think myself and Robert pulls. Robert, we didn't arm wrestle. I actually was a bit of an idiot the night before at East versus West, and the guys who arm wrestled me that night, you know who you are, you bunch of no, they're good lads, but a lot of the new guys there, they wanted to get you on the table, and obviously it's the after show, and people are buying you beers, and you know what it's like.
Yeah.
You have a few beers, and particularly I'm not like a great drinker. I don't drink a lot, so I have a few beers, and you think you can do it again, and the pain's numbed down. So I end up pulling for like 3/4 of an hour just with dudes there, and yeah, you feel okay. You think not bad, and then the next day, I hurt myself a little bit with one kid who was pretty bloody strong, very tall, and I stopped him, and he had a lot of pressure on my wrist, and it was cracking like hell, and we both felt it, and he was kind enough to say, "Yeah, okay, I felt that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, mate." We had a bit of a laugh, had another beer, and that was that. But it was sore, but I was pretty lit up. And that was that. I went to bed. The next morning I got up, I was stiff, I was sore. We went over to Engin's house. And Engin's like, oh, just do a little bit of pulling. And I'm like, I'd rather not, mate, really. Oh, come on, do a little bit of pulling. I said, well, I ain't really come to pull, but I'd rather not. But you know how it is. We get, oh, bollocks, go on. Well, I'll pull a little bit. So I went on there with Robert, who's, for those who don't know, Robert's really good, really
Yeah.
strong. And he's also the worst kind of person that you could arm wrestle for someone like myself because he's very long, very tall, very rangy,
Mhm.
and very experienced, very strong. But he's also a lovely bloke. He didn't rattle me, or we put the straps on, and we just rolled nice and smooth into it. I got into a pretty decent position, and as I started to go to the side, my wrist dislocated, and Robert was aware of that, and we just stopped, and he just rolled through, and I said, "Can you roll me through to put it back in
Reload. Yeah,
place?"
yeah. Yep.
So I'm like that, and I said, "Will you just?" And he rolled me again. We couldn't get back in place, so eventually I had to get hold of a handle and pull back at it very hard, and it went back in. But I
Wow.
was in, that was horrible. I was in really bad. It ruined my day actually because we went in there to have fun and to play around with the guys and watch the guys, and I felt sick. You know when you're
Yeah.
pissed, sweat, and oh, it was horrible. So I don't know what's possible, but I'd love to have a go at it, mate.
Yeah, I would love to see you back. Neil, honestly, you and Shannon Remes, could that be a possible match?
Sharon, yeah,
Yeah, Shannon, right? Shannon,
Sharon is
yeah, Sharon. Okay.
Sharon Remes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon Remes is one of my all-time heroes. When I was a kid coming up in the man, the man. His wrist is iron. I can't tell you. At a peak, Sharon Emes. We pulled in 2006 at the Worlds in Manchester. I
Hmm.
believe I got him that day. Gary Roberts has that match on video. Make your minds up yourself. I think a lot of the time, Sharon at his best would have been a very hard match for anyone in the world. For anyone, I think he was
Yeah.
exceptional, unbelievably strong. I don't even know whether Sharon is active now, but if he is, he's probably still an absolute killer. One of the best of all time, in my opinion. Weapon of a man. Brilliant wrist. Brilliant wrist. But it'd be interesting. Would I be up for it? Oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I've seen so many of his old videos. I think I saw a video of him saying something like he wanted to pull like a year and a half ago.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
yeah, that'd be awesome, I think.
Sharon's a beast. He's an absolute beast, and great legacy of arm wrestling. If you in the chat you haven't heard of Sharon, if you go back and you look at the peak of his career, anywhere around sort of 1992 at Geneva, Paris Brest Fair. I think that was 91 when I was a kid, really, just sort of early 20s and late teens. And mate, he was a weapon,
Yeah.
absolute weapon at that time. Right there with the best in the world. So, yeah, knock over a couple of these super chats. Subagles, thank you, mate. He's put shout out to James Wall via Jody Williams. Yeah, I know Jode messaged me. And He was very impressed with Wally this weekend. James is a beast. He's coming on. You know James, right, Brad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, solid dude. Absolutely. Are you going to the show next weekend?
No, so it was too last minute for me. And I already had plans set up, so I'm
Hmm.
not gonna make it. Yeah.
So Chris Drummond with a super chat, but Brian will probably naturally hang on and internally rotate because of his strength there, exposing the risk to anyone with a very tight pronation. He has to learn to pull against his instincts to win. He does, yes, I agree, Chris. He does. He will have a lot of instincts. I couldn't agree more that are
Hmm.
going to tell him the wrong information, and that's why people do need to give Brian a chance and let him adjust. Um, I think if Brian can find his spots and can train nice and steady and diligently, oh my word, he could be. It could be a very entertaining journey to
Yeah.
watch him progress slowly and watch where he can go. Because there's enough guys out there in this sport now, big men that are very, very strong and very tricky, that I believe, tell me if you disagree, Brad, but I think he'd have a good few years of climb where you
Hmm.
could give him very different tests, technical tests.
Yeah. Yeah. Vitali, Gennady would be awesome if he gets healed up. Michael, Devin. I think if everything goes perfectly within like 4 years, Brian's either at the top or close to the top. But that's like a very perfect scenario.
How long do you reckon?
I think 4 years it would take.
I think you're not far off. I think 4 to 6 years, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think in that time, because he's got, and why I say that shortened time may be viable, agreeing with what Brad was saying there, is because he's going to be absolutely on the fast track in terms of access.
Hmm.
He's going to have access to everyone. Now, if he does that in a meaningful manner and takes it nice and steady, he could really fast track him. And in terms of coaching, I always think that you'll find people if you who are very suited to your style over time. And I think certain coaches work better with certain people, you know. It's interesting saying some people say, "Oh, this guy's a good coach. This guy's a good coach." I do think it's quite an individual thing, really, coaching.
It is. It is. I think
Yeah.
I think Philip and Mendagas should coach him, honestly.
Mm.
Philip Larson and Mendagas,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Philip Lawson's no bum, is he? He's a big, big, strong
He's
dude.
smart too. He's smart.
Yes, he's very, very smart guy. He's a guy I'd love to get in on more. He's very, very solid.
Hmm.
Very, very solid. So, proving astrology. Thanks for your super chat, mate. Neil, if there was an Ultimate Fighter style YouTube show where you were one of the coaches, which rival coach would you most want to face? Engin. Engin, probably. If not Engin, Svetan Gashevsky. There are a number. I'll give you some notable mentions. Obviously, those two guys for because I rate them as superb. Into Giannis would be another one. I think he's excellent.
Yeah.
Um, I think that some of the old school Spanish arm wrestlers are unbelievable. Guinito Joaquin, Lorenzo Villar, Jaime, all those guys are, amazing arm wrestlers. I think to make it most interesting, you need to have someone who is very, very universally adept, who understands the sport in a lot of layers and depth. So
Yeah.
not harnessed to one technique or style, and also not on the fringes of the physical spectrum.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because when you are, it's more difficult to relate to people. So if I was going to be training an absolute giant, in some ways, I'm less able to do that than someone like Devon would be, because Devon is a giant.
Yeah.
So he knows how a giant feels against people. I'm very much on the smaller end of that. I'm sort of average and so that gives me a broad spectrum of opportunity, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. I think the same could be said for Engin. Why I went immediately with Engin is I consider Engin's knowledge to be extraordinarily high,
Yep.
and that excites me. So I'd love to coach against Engin. I'd love to coach against Svetan. For anybody who doesn't
Sweet.
know about Kashevsky. You know him, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Super smart guy.
Mega,
Mhm.
mega puller.
And he's coached Plowman and Jordan. Like he already has his resume is very solid. So
Solid.
yeah,
He was the nucleus of the Bulgarian setup. Very, very solid guy. And there are others, I'm doing in North America, there are some magnificent arm wrestlers, great arm wrestlers. Everybody, the people saying that, oh, Devon isn't a good coach. Devon's a very good coach. Devon is an extraordinarily knowledgeable guy. Very, very knowledgeable person. And if you're the kind of guy that his coaching style resonates with, then I know that Dev can do. I love to listen to Devon talk arm wrestling.
same.
I'll talk arm wrestling with Devon forever, and I take a great deal from the insights that he'll offer. One of my favorite things to do is speak to other arm wrestlers about arm wrestling. So one of the
Yeah.
reasons I like Brad so much is because when we'll go to somewhere, Brad will talk with confidence and diligence about his style of arm wrestling, and I love it. I'd love to go to Brad's place and learn how to arm wrestle from Brad. I
Yeah,
just
we
love,
we all have our own truths, right? It's kind of
yes,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you
Like
get better? For me, that's what I'd like to do. If we're like,
mhm.
if you're like, right, I'll lock myself in a box and learn Brad Grundy's style.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because within
Well,
there, there'll be a lot of amazing stuff where I can go try and swallow some of that.
yeah. No, I think I took a good bit from your style, Neil. I use your style left hand now. I
Mm.
like it a lot. Then Mendogas taught me some stuff too.
In
There's
the in the mega,
he's awesome. Yeah,
in the
he's awesome. Yeah.
Terasatis, we were talking about him. Mendogas is just awesome. He's a master arm wrestler. Fabulous puller. Love him. He's the GOAT, right? Just a regular GOAT. That's how he is. But joking aside, anybody in the chat, that's a bad dude. He is a bad man. He really. I just had a message from Auden Larratt. The enemy. Where's he at? Is he in the chat? I need to read what he's put here. Get your ass on here, Larratt, boys. Can't even see his message now. Message came up there. Might be under fire here, Brad. Might
Oh,
be
is
under.
Auden giving you a hard time?
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Yeah, whatever, man.
We've
He's
had a
he's
laugh.
just an influencer, right?
So we were talking on here last week, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we were talking about. I actually think it was Devon that came out with it. It might have been Devon originally started it. Oh no, wait a minute. No, I'm doing him a disservice. He said that Mindergus called out Auden.
Yes. Yep. I was there.
Okay, there you go. So was that at the North American Vengeance?
Yeah, it was.
So I was at there, but I have no recollection of that happening.
He beat Artem, right? And then he called him
Yes,
out.
yeah. And he
That's
did
what I
it just
remember.
after that, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Told you I was old.
Yeah, that's what happened. And honestly, like, I think that's a great match in like a year from now.
At the soonest.
Okay, yeah. Mindaugas is amazing. So I think
Right
Aden's.
now, I think Mindaugas is way too much.
Mhm.
I think he's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Auden, I just picked up your message. I will check that out as soon as I come off the fix. And just before I leave, damn you.
I'd be interested to see though a year from now if Auden could out set up Mindaugas. I don't think so, but I think Mindaugas will shut
Much
down
bigger
his
man,
lane.
extremely he's going to be tricky himself, isn't he? So,
Hmm.
guys like Auden, you're in the game, you're 20 years old, you're hungry as hell, committed, supremely confident. I mean, you've been around Auden, you know how confident he is.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he's supremely confident, and he's good. He moves well. He's fast. He can
Hmm.
pull in many positions. He's got a magnificent teacher in Devon, very invested. And whatever you think about Devon, take emotion out of it. Devon can arm wrestle. I'll tell you right now.
Yep.
Dude knows his stuff. He can really pull. There is no doubt there. He might show you that he's got a secular style that leads him to victory in certain areas, but he understands arm wrestling and he can
Mhm.
arm wrestle in any position you want, anywhere you want to take that match. trust me, Devon will go there without a
Hmm.
moment's hesitation. The guy is a fucking savage. I'm telling you, he can pull. He can really friggin' pull. So, um, if you don't believe that to be the case, you're making a mistake. He's a bad guy. Myself and Brad have both trained extensively with Dev.
Hmm.
Dude's savage. End of.
Yep.
He's going to be more invested in his sons and his daughter than anyone else. So all of the knowledge, the snapshot that a lot of the other arm wrestlers will get of Devon, with these guys, they're not going to be getting a snapshot. They're going to be getting subliminal. It's going to be just all over them all the time. And that is a big difference maker. And you can already see within Orton and within Milo.
Yeah, Milo's back in now. So,
Milo's looking pretty bloody sharp. He's got some movement and he's got the levers, the size, the scale, you know? So,
and I
um,
think Auden and Devin being so into it right now is going to really fast track Milo and then taking
yes.
it up quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Milo's got potential that mirrors Orton's physically?
Auden, what I've seen Auden's biggest potential is his brain. Like he's a smart kid and he knows
Yes.
what to do. Yeah, he gets it.
And confident. I love that.
Yeah, I think Milo probably has a slight edge physically.
Hmm. I think
Slight.
in a couple of years, I think you're right. I think Orton, 2 years down the track, 3 years down. I mean, it doesn't matter. 5 years, going to be an
Yeah.
absolute
Yeah.
horror story.
I'm
Badass.
dreading the day to where he calls me out or something. Or he
Yeah,
can still be
it's one
past
of
me. Yeah.
those where you kind of, if you're going to do something with him, get in early because it's
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
ain't getting that ain't going to get any easier, you know. But he'll have no shortage of matches and he'll have no shortage of competition. Because one thing I will say from being around the sport in this last few years, the amount of knowledge readily available is actually too much to take in.
It is. Yes, it's almost like the internet. There's too much like not bad knowledge, but it's not applicable knowledge to a lot of people.
Yes, I agree.
Like everyone should not be doing the Devin Laird lift. Like Devin Laird's
No,
lift is perfect for Devin. It is not perfect for like 90% of people,
correct.
in my opinion.
I agree.
So I think the knowledge is just like the way it's applied in people's lives, it needs to be fixed. We need to have more in-person table time. Like I'd love to meet up with Paul Lynn more, um, with Michael Devon more,
Yeah,
because the over the internet stuff, so much is lost in translation.
yeah. And people. Another guy who's great when you actually have some in-depth table time with him is John.
Yes, no, 100%. The
Yeah,
down pressure stuff he has.
yeah, he's got some excellent stuff.
Yep.
I mean, John, I'm going to say at his peak is as fluid and as complete as any arm wrestler that I have ever seen in my life. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
A prime John Brasink. It's not just people think, oh, he's just way stronger. He's just way. No, he was a truly magnificent arm wrestler. We're talking. I mean, it's almost like it's stating the obvious, but
Yeah.
really,
Well, people
the
forget,
fluidity
Neil.
is a lot of it.
People forget.
The man's fluidity. Prime John was like watching a mountain stream on an arm wrestling table. The guy was just ridiculous. He's unbelievably fluid transitions, smooth as silk, mega, brave, strong in all positions,
Yep.
hand amazing,
Hmm.
amazing.
No, Neil, I want nothing more than pull John. I know he's already out of the game pretty much, but I do want to like just feel the pressure. I would even train with him. I told him 6 months ago, like, I'd love to go train with you in Arizona.
Yeah,
But he's so because his shoulder and stuff, like he's so on and off, it's hard to get a hold of him.
yeah, he's like me. It's like you
Yeah.
can't, you do a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, I took what like 6 painkillers before I pulled with Eddie a little bit. We got there and Eddie's like, "We got to have a match," and I'm like, "Mate, it might not be a great idea for a lot of reasons."
Yeah.
Um, and he's like, "Yeah, look, Brian's pulled a little bit with Devon, and I just want to pull with you a little bit, and we'll do."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh God." So I take some painkillers, you do it. Oh, I regretted it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That on the way home. Oh, myself and Rob Frampton in the car, and I'm like, fuck. Terrible idea.
You might need to go to like Thailand or something and get something done, bro. That sounds horrible.
I mean, what can you do, really?
I'm sure you could find something to help you.
So a
Like,
friend of Devon's, a guy called Ryan, great
yeah.
guy,
The
incredible.
gene therapy guy, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Now he's, one of those guys you meet and you can just tell that they're just way cleverer than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was that guy for me. It was like you meet him and you're like, okay. Like I'm a massive fan of Jordan Peterson, right? And when you listen to I listen a lot of Jordan Peterson, I listen to him, and I am starkly aware that the guy is a different human. Like whoa, just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
different,
No,
just a,
Ryan's super. I felt bad because he was talking to me for like 30 minutes, and I was like drinking a beer with my mates, and like I understood like 10% what he said.
he's just a highly intelligent man, isn't he? Just
Yeah.
operating at a different level, and
Yeah.
he was good enough to give me a little bit of his time, and he suggested some good stuff that I'm looking into big time.
Okay. Great. Great.
And one of those is like getting it's almost like a jelly that they use in arthritis patients and stuff, and that may be something that is has a degree of viability in there. So I'm looking at what I can, but all the
Ha-
time I'm trying to sort of do the pros and cons thing.
yeah. Have you heard of pentose and polysulfate?
No.
I'll send you a video on it. It's
Hmm.
a lot of promise. Kyle Hutchinson, I think, might know some more about it, so I'll reach out to him too.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah.
Kyle has sent me some stuff in the past, but I don't recall that being one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Sent me
Yeah.
some research papers and all sorts of stuff. Kyle's
Yeah.
like on a book that it's hard to get off.
Yeah. Kyle is one of the guys who he plays stupid, but he's pretty smart himself.
A very smart lad.
Yeah.
Um, Also feel sorry for Kyle because he gets bust up a lot, doesn't he?
Dude, I feel so sorry for Kyle. He's all torn up.
Yeah, we had a footballer in the UK years ago. Name was David Hurst. He played for England and had an amazing amount of promise, but the guy
Yeah.
couldn't get through like 3 games,
Yeah.
literally. And I feel like Kyle's that guy. Got
I've
massive
never talked to
potential,
Kyle not injured, or where he's not been injured.
constantly injured.
Yep.
You know,
You
he
heard what happened after our match, me and Kyle's match?
yes. Oh
Dude,
yeah.
he could not move his arm for like a
No,
month.
I mean that was a terrible situation though when you guys were pulling at God knows the clock. I told you about that earlier tonight, mate.
Oh yeah. Well,
It,
dude, he beat me that night. So he with a torn like what was it, labrum or something?
yeah.
Like so the month after our
I mean,
match,
how
he
does
couldn't
that
use
even
his arm.
work?
Dude, I don't know. But he beat me all night. It was insane.
Right, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. I'm excited about a couple of projects that we got going. So, listen, we got King of the Table 13 coming up next week. All the links are going to be in the description of literally every video we've done recently, guys. So be aware of that. And I can honestly say that this card is the best I've seen from King of the Table.
Yep.
The best I've seen from King of the Table. The depth on the card is excellent. I know everybody's talked about it to death. I'm not going to go through the matches in that respect. The matches that are on this card are the very best in the world from the men, the very best in the world from the ladies. We've also got some highly entertaining matches. My personal favourite match that I'm most invested in on the card, outside of Brian and Eddie because of the bias there, would
Mhm.
have to be the Paul Lim match. I like that a lot. And followed by Sandra Shedis Rustam. Those
Yeah.
are my select matches. So if you're a hardcore fan of arm wrestling, guys, then this is a card you do not want to miss. It's taking place next week. It's at Bally's. If you're in that area near Atlantic City, well worth the drive. You got Lavon Saganashvili, Jerry Caderet. You got Barbora and Gabby going at it for the overall ladies. Crazy card. Across that, the depth of talent with people like Marcio and Matt going at it, that should be an absolute banger. Every single match on this card has got a lot about it. Uh, Dave and Gabor is going to be amazing. New kid coming up again.
Dude,
Yeah,
Gabor is awesome.
no bum. The kid is no
Yeah.
bum. He's very young. I don't think many people will give him a chance.
Yeah.
He could have one.
He could, but hey, Dave said he was in great shape. I'm a bit worried that Dave will beat him and be in fantastic shape. I think Gabor will be like written off as like kind of a bum.
When in fact he is anything but. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I hope people give Gabor a chance regardless of what happens.
Yeah,
in the
very
future.
young man
Yeah.
with
Yep.
huge promise. Auden Larratt, no chance. Eddie Hall, Song. What the? Is this blasphemy? I've just clocked that in the chat. Okay, Auden. Okay, son. The gauntlet has gone down. Yes, let's
Is
see what we can come up with right after the fix, ladies and gentlemen. I will see what we can come back with. I'll check that out, mate, and we'll see where that one goes. Also, Phil Woody, the man, has just put the link in there for the TV sign up. So it is the TV sign up he's put there if you want to get the pay per view. In our description, we've also got for anyone who's attending the event, we got the you can get nights off the discount off the hotel at Bally's if you want to be in the place. We have an open competition going down there on Friday also. So it's a full weekender. Going to be awesome. Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall match has been taking off big time. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming out this week on that for you also. We'll also be doing for Armwar's YouTube channel members all the usual behind the scenes. We're traveling with Eddie. So I'm meeting Eddie tomorrow and we're traveling over to the States. We'll be doing a lot about that as well. So going to be some good stuff coming out this week, mate. Good
it
stuff coming out this week.
super exciting, man?
Yeah, going to be
Super
killer.
exciting.
And then hopefully we can get Brad Grundy's passport fast tracked so we can get his ass over.
I'll double check the price. If it is a grand, it's probably not going to happen. But if it's like $500, I can maybe make it work.
Remember, the chew option with James is there. Just say
Yeah.
nothing, get it sorted.
Okay.
We'll
Thanks,
hook
Neil.
him up. That's how that. Yeah, it's kind of that's how James
Oh,
rolls.
thanks, James. Really.
Yeah, he didn't know it yet, but it's okay. It's not a problem. Listen, I'm going to let Brad jump off here and get on with his day, and we'll wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's taken the time out to tune into the show tonight. Sorry, it wasn't a really in-depth one tonight, but it's great to catch up with Brad, one of my favorite arm wrestlers in the game. Brad, just give everybody your social details, mate, so they can follow you and show you some love.
Yeah, I'm just on YouTube, so just Brad Grundy on YouTube, and Facebook. That's all I use, really. Thanks for having me, Neil.
So get over there, sub to Brad. Let me tell you, in North America, this guy is the chosen one. He's one of the best arm wrestlers in North America, if not the world. And he's only a young man. He ain't going to get any worse. Understand that. Brad
Thanks,
Grundy
Neil.
is a killer. And he will be in action everywhere for a long period of time, ladies and gents. While you're here, guys, if you don't mind hitting that like button, that would be awesome. And please give us a sub. As I say, video came out from Eddie Hall tonight over on his channel. Going to be a ton of stuff coming up to East versus West 13. We will be keeping you informed. If you're an Arm Wars YouTube channel member, you're going to get a lot of stuff coming out this week. And we will see you again when we get to Atlantic City. Brad, thank you very much, mate. All the best to you and your family.
Dude,
And
thank you, man. Appreciate
catch
it.
you soon. Cheers, brother. Biggity bong.